Hi, I'm Jenelle Bolyard and I love teaching watercolor. Today, I will be walking you step by step through this spring wreath. Petal by petal, leaf by leaf, this spring wreath will come together. Spring is upon us, so I can't wait to paint this spring wreath with you today. We are going to have fun because this is a outline-less painting. We will be freehanding it, but don't worry, I will walk you step by step. These are our supplies today. We're going to be using a round number 5, round number 2, a pencil, an 8 by 8 piece of watercolor paper, a bowl for tracing. These are the colors that we are using today: sepia or brown, daffodil yellow, pine green, berry blue, and magenta. Okay, we are doing this in 6 steps. We will be painting the flowers first, then the large leaves that kind of look like magnolia leaves. Then we will be painting these smaller leaves, which I will call footprint leaves. They're kind of like on a sprig, so footprint. Then we will be painting these sprigs with buds on them, but just the sprigs first, and then we will go back and paint the buds and the inside of the flowers. So the first part when we're doing the flowers is just the petals. But we are going to practice these shapes first on a scrap piece of paper so that you can get comfortable with them before we put them on our actual painting. Okay, let's start with the flower petals. So take your round number 2, get your brush wet. We're going to be mixing together magenta and a little bit of brown or sepia. We're making like a kind of a coral color, so that we're going to add a little bit of yellow as well. Whoops. Okay. With your pencil, draw a small circle. That will be the center of your flower. And with your brush, hold it up and down, and we're going to be doing these, I'll show you. These kind of half circle swooshes. So starting from the center of the circle, just kind of make these half swooshes. The first flower that we will be painting is the largest one. So it'll be about this size. So you're just kind of making these flowers are ranunculus. And so they have a ton of petals. Okay, so now that we've made those, we're going to get our brush wet, and in some of the places we're just going to blend. On the edges we're going to do it toward the middle. We're blending some of the petals so that they are filled in more, but not all of them. Okay, so you can blend them as much as you'd like, but that's how you make the flowers. We will be going back into the center to put in the center part after, but let's move on to the larger leaves. Okay, with your larger brush, you're going to mix together the pine green and just a very small amount of the brown to kind of mute it. This is, okay, and it's a very simple shape, just an oval, and then fill it in. Magnolia leaves sometimes are a little bit wavy on the edges, so some of ours will be a little bit wavy as well. But it's mostly just an oval. So when we paint these large ones, we're going to put in them as a wash, so it's just a very light painting it first, and then we'll come back and we'll add in more color. I'm taking some brown and I'm adding it to the edge as if it was kind of turned over. Okay. The next thing we're going to practice is the footprint leaves. So take your green, you can mix it with a little bit of berry blue, make it a little bit darker. You can mute any color, make it not as vibrant by adding a little bit of the sepia or the brown. Okay. So I call these footprint leaves because we're going to take our brush and we're going to press it down like this. Press it down from tip to the neck of the brush. And it's kind of like footprints that we're just going back and forth. It's almost like we're using the paintbrush as a stamp. And you see how the color pools right there? If you want it the other direction, flip your paintbrush over and it will pool down at the bottom like that. But we'll be going kind of back and forth up through that. So that's that one. And then the sprigs for the buds are just sepia. And actually, we're going to use the round number 2 for that. And just holding your paintbrush up and down, straight up and down, you're going to just make very thin lines like this. Make it darker. Pretty easy. Okay, those are our, oh, and then the buds are just going to be circles. Just going to mix some magenta with a little bit of berry blue. I'll tell you all these mixtures again once we're going through it. And then a little bit of sepia. So I made kind of a plum color. And we're just going to be putting those down as just circles, filled in circles, or dots, I guess you would call them. So we're doing plum, dark plum, colored on there, and then we'll do a light one above it. I'm going to darken the bottom one by adding some more color to it. And then we'll put a little bit of yellow just right on top. Okay, I think we're ready to start. So you're going to take your bowl. Make sure you have enough space on either side of your paper. You're going to trace your bowl. already traced mine, so. Then we're going to add right here. We're going to put in just a few circles on the inside of the line for our flowers. You can see they're kind of on the inside. And then we're going to work our flowers around it. And then I put one up here as well. Okay, let's start with our flower petals by mixing our magenta, some brown, and yellow, a little bit of yellow. Okay, holding your brush straight up and down, make your swooshing marks around your circles. Just be playful here. Don't get too stressed about how perfect they're supposed to be. They're just supposed to be kind of a wispy. There's so many petals in these flowers that just so many layers of them. So just put in a whole bunch. I'm putting the petals to where they kind of spill over on the outside of the line, but the majority of them are on the inside. Going to put in this one over here. No, we're going to do this one first. I made this a little dark, so I'm going to blend it. And a smaller one right here. Then moving over here. I hope you're enjoying these tutorials. I absolutely love painting. I have been painting for, probably since I was 3 or 4. And I always knew that this is what I wanted to do when I grew up. And raising a family and all that entails, I have not done it as much as I would have hoped, but choosing to get back into it and spread the blessing of teaching and having something to enjoy spending your time doing when you need some soul care, when you need to look forward to something that's just relaxing and a piece of art that you created and that you get to display or give away. Okay, now I'm going to get my brush wet again, and I'm going to go back to these flowers over here, and I'm going to blend some of them. Definitely going to blend the outsides. I'm going to drop in a little bit more color here. Okay, while these dry, we're going to put in our magnolia leaves. So switch to your larger brush and mix together the pine green, a little bit of brown, and then just thin it out. Okay, here we go. Place one here. I'm going to make mine just a little bit brown, more brown. One here. One down here. Remember that when you're painting flowers or leaves, they are not perfect. So once you paint them and you're putting in all the other things, it's not going to matter if it didn't seem perfect when you were putting them down, because no leaf is perfect, perfectly symmetrical or here. So are there any other flowers that you would be interested in painting? I love peonies and paint. I'm going to be doing alpine flower series here soon. So alpine flowers are flowers that grow in mountainous regions, so at certain elevations, like glacier lilies and shooting stars. If you've never seen shooting stars, oh my goodness, they're such cool flowers. And for those of you who live in the Pacific Northwest, you will recognize some of the flowers we're going to do in that alpine series. But I'm up for doing tropical flowers. If anybody wants to do a tutorial on some tropical flowers, I am so game. Bird of paradise, orchids are kind of tropical. There's so many. Let me know in the comments. Now we are going to go back in on some of them and add some darker values to them. So mix together your pine green, your brown, let's see. Actually, we're going to do it on most of them. Isn't it amazing how simple this process is? Okay, great. We're done with the magnolia leaves. Now we're moving on to the footprint leaves. So these are going to be darker, so make sure you mix quite a bit of green with just a little bit of blue. And remember, this is the one that we're doing that's like a stamp. Okay, so we're going to start in here. And we're going to be layering. If you've noticed, we haven't really touched any of the elements together. Now we're going to be laying these on top. It's not quite dark enough. So. Kind of just following the line of the pencil line that we put down, so the circle. You can place these wherever you'd like. You're making sure that your brush is really filled with paint here. Okay, fill in any other places that you want. And we're going to move on to, this seems a little off balance. Okay, now we're going to move on to the sprigs that hold the buds. So transition to your smaller brush, round number 2, or whatever you have. And we are going to load our brush with the sepia brown. And again, hold your paintbrush straight up and down so you can get that really thin line. Make sure it's not soaking too much that it's going to give you a lot of paint. So dab it onto your paper towel. And then, let's see, we have one here. Your painting is going to have different spots than mine, more than likely. You're going to have, you can find the spots where you want to put the sprigs. Feel free to overlap here. Overlap onto the different elements. Since it's a little bit crowded up here, I'm not going to put a sprig up there. Okay, that is finished. Let's move on to, we're putting in the buds, and then we're going to do the centers of the flowers. Okay, mix together the magenta with a little bit of blue. Makes this beautiful purple. And then you're going to add a little bit of the brown to make this plum color, muted plum color. Okay. Okay. Let's actually start with the flowers, the center of the flowers first. So the very, very center is going to be yellow, but the inner, just outside the yellow, is going to be this plum color, and we're just doing dots. Lots of dots. We want this to dry before we put in the yellow, so we're doing this first, and then we'll move to the buds. We're also going to use this plum color, and we're going to put in between the flowers, we're just going to put a little bit of a darker shade so that it kind of shows that there's some shadowing here. Gives it a little bit of depth. I'm going to put a little bit under here as well, kind of showing a shadow. Under here. A little bit under here. Okay, let's move on to the buds. With the same plum color, we're going to put down a pretty dark circle, filled in circle, so a dot. On every little sprig. Done this first set. Okay, now water down that same color, and you're going to put another dot right above it, but light colored. You can have them touch if you want, or they can kind of be floating, whatever you prefer. Now we're going to put in the yellow at the tip of those buds. Oops, forgot to put in some light colored ones down here. So typically, like over here, this is a little too tight. So normally I wouldn't do it that tight, and I should have not gone that close to the edge, but live and learn. Okay, now we're going to put the yellow in the center of the flowers. I think I am going to go back and add a little bit of brown in some of these sprigs. All right, and one last thing that we will do is we will go back and add a little bit more like darker shades into some of these flowers. Give it a little bit more value. Unless you want to leave it as is. It's your painting. Okay, there we have it. We've completed our spring wreath. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that you have also seen how easy it is. One more thing. Go back through your wreath and decide if it needs to be balanced out anywhere. And then, last but not least, make sure you sign your name, because this is an original piece of art. Okay, until next time, enjoy your week.